Wednesday, June 28th, 1995, and as part of our series commemorating the 50th anniversary of World War II, we're interviewing a group of Scriba residents who participated in that war. And for this interview, we're meeting with Carl Dickenson and his experiences in the European theater.
Mr. Dickenson, will you just tell us a little bit about where were you born? And
Well, I was born in Gilboa, New York, down in the Catskills. I'm going to give you the date. I was born January 18th, 1914. And the Gilboa was taken over, the village of Gilboa was taken over by New York City. And it was eliminated to build a dam there, and that's the Harry Reservoir now. That's part of New York City water supply.
okay,
So then my father, he was a butter maker and cheese maker in Gilboa, and he moved up here to Scriba, right over here where this, beyond where the casing, this brick building is over here. The milk plant was there at that time.
okay,
And we lived there for until 1921. And the place burnt down, so then we moved to Lycoming. And we built a plant there in Lycoming because it was down the railroad. So,
you built another milk plant, milk and butter plant?
it wasn't, at that time, it was owned by Brown Creameries. And they shipped cream and stuff to New York City on the railroad. And also, they made butter and also cheese at different times, you know what I mean? Eventually, that was taken over by
Morton?
taken over by
Dairy Lee.
yeah, I worked for him 8 years. Anyway, Queensboro Farms, taken over by Queensboro Farms. They had 18 plants in New York State, and that was one of them. I worked for them 8 years. I was getting big wages. I was getting $25 a week for 7 days a week.
Okay.
So I had a chance to go to Pennsylvania for $35 a week. So I went down there and I worked down there a year and a half before I went in the Army.
Okay. And when did you enlist in the Army?
I didn't enlist.
Okay.
I was one of them picked out the drum. What was that, 1940 they picked out the drum?
Yeah, right, the
Mine-
first draft.
My number was 1240. And I was sent to Fulton for an examination. I was put 4F due to the fact I had high blood pressure, they said. So I was all set, I thought. That's why I took the job in Pennsylvania. They asked me what my classification was. I said 4F. I was all set, so they felt I was good. But I worked there a year and a half, and my mother called me up, said I had to report to Syracuse and for examination there. I told him, as they put their hand on my shoulder and I was warm, I was in the Army. So that was how I got in the Army, not by volunteering. But then they put me in this 101st Airborne Division, which was a new outfit. They took the 82nd Infantry Division and split it. And made the 82nd Airborne and 101st Airborne out of the one division. And it was a new outfit. And I had a lot of good things going for me.
It must have solved your blood pressure problem.
Actually, I didn't have. My doctors in Mexico said if he'd been on the board, he said he would have been in the Army for it. Because the idea is you go in there, your blood pressure raises, I guess. I guess I'll go to the doctor now, my blood pressure raises.
Oh, yes.
I do take blood pressure medicine now, I have to, but otherwise, I didn't, actually, I didn't have, high blood pressure at the time.
Where did you do your basic training?
We went to Fort Bragg.
Okay.
Well, from Syracuse, went to Niagara, Fort Bragg, and that's where we had our training. We was there about a year. And in June, I think we went from Fort Bragg to England, and we was in England about a year before D-Day.
Okay. When you were in England, what kinds of things did you do there?
Well, just basic training.
Okay.
It was just training. Had glider training. You'd have to go up. So you have to learn how to load the gliders, and they make you take so many trips in the gliders.
And what part of England was this, Carl?
In Reading, England. It's just about, I'd say 60 miles west of London.
And you were in the infantry?
Infantry,
Right.
yeah, right.
And so did you do mostly these glider runs where you went in, or what other kinds of...
Well,
Well, in basic training, you first.
that was our main thing, yeah.
Okay.
In training in infantry tactics, but we didn't do anything other than what an ordinary infantryman would do,
Okay.
other than glider training, you know what I mean?
Okay. Okay. And then, where were you first stationed after basic training? Where did you first go after training?
From Bragg?
No, from England.
No, well, that was D-Day.
Okay.
We went from there to D-Day. In these camps, they said, I don't know where they were set up. We were right next to an airport. And they sent us there before D-Day, and they had us all fenced in, guards, you couldn't get in or out, and all that. And, but, come to find out, they didn't have enough tow planes for the gliders. So they loaded us on trucks, took us down to, I'm not sure whether it's, where they went from southern England.
Okay.
Put us on an LST, and that was the day before D-Day, when they loaded them up. And on D-Day, we were transferred from the LST into these assault boats. We went in on D-Day at 9 o'clock in the morning. We were fortunate because we went on Utah Beach, and Utah Beach was secure. The beach itself was secure when we got there at 9 o'clock. So we had shell fire, but no small arms fire.
Right.
Until we got over the brick wall, over the road, and then we did have some small arms fire.
Now, was the channel rough when you went across?
It was pretty rough. And that was one of my bad things. I get seasick. And even in glider training, boy, I'm telling you, I go up and behind a tow plane, you get this up and down motion, so I put my helmet between my legs, throw up in your helmet. When you get on the ground for your exercise, dump the stuff down, put it on. But it was rough, fires. But we went into Holland, and it was from England to Holland, and I never got seasick. But there's one thing that helped me, I think. On a glider, there's an emergency door right on the left and right side of the pilot. And one on the right side, that emergency door flew off, and we took off. And that cold air hit right, right in your face. I think that kept me from getting seasick.
Could be.
Because you do, I don't know if you ever rode in a glider or not, but
No.
you was a pilot or in a plane?
No.
Airplane. Well, anyway, you get that up and down motion behind the tow plane, Boy, I'm trying to worse than can't imagine what it is.
Can you tell me a little bit about D-Day when you landed at Utah Beach? Just describe a little bit about what things looked like then.
Well, there was nothing on the beach other than some of the landing craft that has been hit, you know, but as far as tanks or anything like that, we didn't have nothing there. But there was tanks there before us. But after we landed on the beach, we get behind this break wall. There's a cement break wall and a sand dune behind that. We got over that. We just got over that break wall. There's a German plane come, and an English Spitfire right behind him. The German plane dropped a small unmanned personnel bomb. Wasn't much. Anyway, he went by. We just got over the wall. All these shell holes. You take a company of men, there wasn't a head showing anywhere. So everybody in a hole.
Wow.
But pretty soon that plane circling around, come back, was on fire. Lit just beyond where we were. And pretty soon a GI come, the pilot had his leg burned. He was taking him back along the back and break wall. But from then on, you know, it was just ordinary, you know, maneuvers. We was only in Normandy 30 days. We were in taking the village of Carentan, and that's the 320s, the whole division. I mean, even the 401 was on it too. That was part of the division.
Oh, that's good, yeah. And then you went back to England?
And we went back to England after 30 days. And we were alerted for the Sens River, and we were alerted for different times, but we weren't needed. Patton was moving fast. Then we were alerted for Holland. And we went from England to Holland on this, we tried to go over the Rhine at Arnhem. British dropped over the Arnhem. They were 6,000 paratroopers, and only 2,000 got out of there. They were really entrapped. But a lot of things went wrong. Their communication system wasn't working. Well, when they set it up, they weren't on the same channels, you know, so they couldn't talk, they couldn't get any. Everything went wrong, it seemed so. So we lit it just over the Wilhelmina Canal in Holland at sun. And just before we got there, the Germans blew up the bridge over the Wilhelmina Canal. So the tanks coming up the road couldn't get through until we built a Bailey Bridge over that canal. Then we worked our way up through, I can't remember names very well. I think it's Veckel, it was one of the cities. We worked our way up the road towards Arnhem, and I remember laying in the ditch there in Veckel, and every once in a while shell fire coming on us. Come to find out, there's two Germans up in a church tower, and just as we'd move, they'd, you know, they would let the Germans know they were under shell fire.
These were spotters then?
Yeah, and they got rid of them, so then we could move. Yeah.
What would, when you moved, what were the marches like? How many days would you go for?
Well, you know, I really don't know how many days that we was going up that road. But we went up so far, up to, then we got on trucks and they took us into, I can't remember the names of the villages. Anyway, where we ended up there was on this island between Rhine and Niederrhein, there's an island there, and our position was across that island. And our company was spread across that island.
Now, from there you went back to England?
No, from there we went back to Marmelon or some such name in France.
Okay.
And we got back, we lost quite a few men there in Holland. And we got back into France, Marmelon or Marmelon, I don't know how to pronounce it. Anyway, we got back there, and we weren't there very long. We hadn't received any replacements or any equipment replacements. And then the Bastogne, they broke through, you know, the Ardennes, and they were called Bastogne. And that's when they set up this perimeter around Bastogne.
So they loaded you in trucks?
These cattle trucks, you know, at night, coal, and they run without lights. And I don't know how. Anyway, it was all night ride anyway. When we got there the next day, they unloaded us, and we had our packs down, overcoats, some packs, you know. They made us take all that off and put them in a barn. And they made us use a combat pack, which is nothing but a raincoat, your key rations and like that, and your personal supplies. Then from there, they went out and put us on our position where we were dug in. And in the meantime, the Germans were coming. They took that barn, took all our supplies, cut that off, and so we didn't have nothing. And it was really cold, really cold. So we really dug in, you know, it's pretty good there. My hole probably 5 feet long and 4 or 5 feet deep. When we were positioned there, it was right beside I don't know, there's a picture of that house in that one there, in that book, that this farmer, I had my men, didn't have no coats, no blankets, no nothing, so I had the men go in his barn and get hay, put in their holes, see, trying to protect them. I couldn't speak their language, and boy, he was mad, I'm telling you, because he had a dairy, you know, and this hay was, but it didn't make any difference, because just as soon as the Germans attacked us, they set the barn on fire and lost all the hay anyway.
That's right.
Yeah, so.
This was in December, right?
In December, yeah.
Okay. So there was snow on the ground and everything?
No, when we went in there, it wasn't. But that first day, it started a few flakes. And during the time I was there until, well, the day I met these Germans, maybe there's 4 or 5 inches of snow, you know, not much. But afterwards, after that, boy, they really got snow, you know, really deep snow.
No, well, can you describe a little bit about what it was like at Bastogne a little bit more, as far as what happened? You were dug in, and then what happened after that?
Well, what do you mean? Is our position? Well, you know, the Germans would attack, and like they attacked in front of us, and we drive them back, and then they attack somewhere else.
Okay.
See, if they had attacked twice in the same place, they'd went right through. In fact, they did go through. And E Company's on our left, and they attacked there one night. They broke through E Company, went right around back of our company headquarters, which is about a quarter of a mile from our position, and they captured our first sergeant, and the man killed someone, but our captain, he got away and come up to our platoon CP. It was in the base of that house. He I don't know how he got away, but he was fortunate to get away from him.
So essentially you were encircled as well?
Well, no, actually.
No, actually, okay.
See, the way the 101st was set up, they had I don't know which paratroop company, or a roving company. If you were attacked, they were brought up in back of our position. We'll say we were attacked. And this company were brought up in reserve and back on. So they didn't get through.
Okay.
They did one time, I forget what company they did get through Perner into Bastogne before the tanks were destroyed.
I see. So they also used tanks in their attacks?
They used the tanks?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
In our position, after, I don't know how long afterward, after the weather cleared, the Air Force was able to come in. There was 5 P-47s, I believe there were. Come on, boy, they were beautiful. They peeled off and went right down the German line from them. Right after that, there's this German tank went up. We was on a hill, and there was a hill in front of us. See, this German tank went up this other hill, and we had two tanks and a tank destroyer in the back of us. And one of the tanks come up, fired on this tank going up over the hill in one shot, because they didn't want to be on the top of the hill, you know, because they'd be setting duck. They fired one shot and went over the tank, and so the tank got away and went up over the hill.
Can you describe what happened in the nuts incident?
Well, I think as he put it, the day they delivered the ultimatum, is in front of me on this road to Arlon, A-R-L-O-N. They come up this road, in the center of the road, this one soldier had a big white flag, and on each side of him had a soldier with 2 small flags. And in the back, then the 2 officers coming up the road. So I saw them coming up the road, and so I went down to meet them. I didn't want them coming into our lines. So we stopped them down there. I had a BAR position right down in the ditch, on the road. There's a BAR man with his weapons, or with his ammunition carrier. So I left well, first, this German says he has a right, according to the Hague and Geneva Conference, he had a right to deliver an ultimatum. So then wanted to be taken to my commanding officer. So they each had they were really dressed, leather coats, shiny boots, really dressed beautiful. And they each took out a clean handkerchief, and the medical officer blindfolded the other officer, and I blindfolded him. By that time, I had him blindfolded. I started back. Permets, he was our medic in our company, assigned to our company. He came down because he could speak German, not knowing that this one could speak English. So he took the one that could speak German, and I took the one with English, and we went back up the hill to our platoon CP, and Butler and Lieutenant Smith was at the door. He said, "What's going on?" I told him they didn't want to deliver an ultimatum to surrender. I said, "What do you want done with him?" He said, "Take him over to the company CP, which is about a quarter mile away." So we took him over the hill, circled around a couple times and took them over to the company CP, and that's as far as they went. They called into Bastogne, told them what they had, and that's where the nuts, McCullough said nuts to them, and well, Colonel Harper brought the message back to the two guys, and he took them in over on where we met on the road, and that's where they left them.
What did the Germans think of the message that said nuts?
Well, they couldn't understand it. They couldn't understand nuts.
Did someone explain it to them?
I think he said it to them, go to hell or something like that, but just what the words were.
Okay.
I forget just what they...
And from then on, the U.S. troops continued to defend, and what happened after that?
Well, for the rest of that day, it was pretty quiet. Gosh, the guys got all their foxholes, you know, and like that. But after that, they really get mortar shell. In fact, you lay in the bottom of that foxhole, and the concussion raises the claws right off of your back, you know, from concussion. In fact, Colonel Harper come up, he said, I don't see how you guys did it, but they really give us the devil.
Was the U.S. short of munitions?
Yeah, that's one thing. One thing was bad. But we actually, I don't know where they got it. They dumped off 2 containers of machine gun ammunition. The containers were all bent up, and they're all outlined, you know. So we took them all apart and got the shells out of the containers, and because we put them in our clips, so, you know,
Yes.
use them. And one day, there was a platoon of Germans coming down over this other hill, and they requested artillery on them, and they refused. They said they didn't have enough shells to fire on them. So what they did, our guys, under 60 millimeter, fired on them. And they spread them all out. I don't know how many, they laid there all day. You couldn't tell, it was on the far side of the hill. You couldn't tell what was hit and what not. The next day everything was cleaned up. But they come marching down that hill, just nobody around. You know, about 4 abreast and a horse and cart, a 2-wheel cart behind them. And until they were fired on, they never even just didn't suspect anything. Another incident, coming up in front of my position, there's 5 women, long skirts. You know how they dress, long skirts, and they're all jabbering at once, sound like a bunch of ducks. They got right up and on our line, and the Germans opened up on a machine gun. And only one got hit. One got hit through the thigh, and they took her in the platoon CP where the medic was, and he patched her up, so they got away all right.
Oh, my.
Well, I was over there in '75, and the what's the guy who wrote the book?
The author of that?
Yeah. He took us with the mayor's secretary. She could speak English. She's in that book too. And took us out to that position. And asked me these questions. I told him about the Germans coming down and the women coming up. And I couldn't understand. They jabbered back and forth, and I couldn't tell what they're saying. Well, they asked me these questions. They took us right to our position where we were. See, this house behind us had all been, the roof had been put out, but there's still shell marks on the side where they're, you know, brick or stone or what it was. And so I didn't think, so he says, come on with us. And I was driving the car, and I followed their car, went over around back where the company CP was. He said, "This look familiar?" I said, "Yeah, but it says the company CP right in them woods." He said, "No, they weren't." He said, "They're back in these other woods." And that woods had been cleared right off, and there was a field of corn or something planted there. That was all cleared off.
Oh, my.
And he goes down to a farm right in front. This guy come out, manure right up to his knees. He says, this farmer, he was up in your platoon CP when this all happened. So that made me feel good to say that he saw what I was telling him, see what I mean? It made me feel good to think that he was there.
Yes, yeah. There's a statue of you in Bastonia.
Well, it's a statue with my name under it.
Okay, okay,
You know,
okay.
there was 3 guys supposed to represent the Air Force and different ones, and I was melted in the Army seat, and my name was under that. That was right in Bastogne in '75. This guy invited us over there because they built a new museum. But when we got over there, it wasn't completed, and he apologized and all that. But I presume now that it's in, then I don't know if it's in the new museum or not. Well, this museum is right in Bastogne, which is a small museum.
Oh, very nice. Now, the weather cleared, so the Air Force could fly missions in.
Yeah, and then they brought in gliders with supplies, which helped. Ammunition and supplies.
And the siege was broken.
It was broken. It wasn't broken actually until Patton. People come through to relieve them, opened up the road. That's when it was broken.
Okay.
And you were finally able to get out of that foxhole.
Well, finally.
How many days were you in the foxhole?
I don't know, must have been a week or so. I don't know how many days it was.
Okay.
You know, not able to shave or anything. Very limited amount of water.
I'm sure you didn't have hot food.
Well, we had, you know what a K-ration is? You ever
Oh,
had?
yes, I've had K-rations.
Well, that's what we had. And if you were lucky, you might get a potted ham or something. And another, you might just get on the cheese. What, how many crackers? 3 crackers?
3, yeah.
3 crackers, 4 cigarettes.
Okay.
And
A prune bar or a fig bar.
yeah. So what they would do, put a little water in our canteen, set our box in the bottom hole, light the box, and you heat up the water with the box. You know, you heat it up pretty good if you didn't have too much water in your canteen. That's what you have a cup of coffee.
Okay.
It did have a little coffee in it.
What time during Battle of the Bulge was morale the highest for you? You know, when was it the lowest?
I don't remember our morale being bad at all, actually, among the troops. You know, it was rough, you know, cold. That was really bad. I had a fellow call me up last week from Virginia. He says, Dickenson, you remember me? And he told me, I forgot his name again. But he says, man, I had frozen feet. I said, yeah, I remember. He come to me, he's from West Virginia. He said, you used to call me a West Virginia hillbilly. And but he come to me and his toes were all black, were all there. So I sent him back to into the platoon CP, and they sent him back. And he told me he went from there back to the United States. I just heard that about a week ago.
Now, do you have much contact with the people that were?
Not too much. Most of them died. One of my best friends from Wisconsin, he died just this past summer. And it's Metz, the medic, I keep in touch with him. He's in Florida. But not too much.
Has your unit ever had a reunion?
Yeah, I've been to 2 of them. But the last one, I think there was only 4 of us from our company. But a lot of them there, of course, I didn't know.
Of course.
What would you say, what would you say is the most memorable moment of the war for you?
Well, I think the meeting the Germans was the most,
Okay.
Now, after Bastogne, you were with the drive into Germany?
Yeah, that's where I was wounded. I was wounded when it was closing the Bulge. I was wounded there and I was sent back through rectal depots. I ended up in Normandy in a tent hospital. And from there I went through the rectal depot. That's one good thing about our outfit. We were special troops, so we went back to our same outfit.
Oh, yes.
Where if you was in an infantry division, you went wherever they wanted you to.
Okay.
So,
You came home from Normandy then?
no.
No?
We went from Bastogne to just outside of Dusseldorf. They went over and started up the drive up there, and we was on the left bank of the Rhine River, across from Dusseldorf, while we were making that drive up through there. Then from there, we went boxcars from there down to Berchtesgaden, Hitler's
Headquarters?
headquarters.
Okay.
And that was after the war.
Mhm.
That was after the war. I went down there, and we were stationed down there for 2 or 3 weeks. I had a good time down there. Everybody, our company was positioned outside of Berchtesgaden in a hotel on a mountainside. They'd take one platoon and go up on the Austrian-German border as a roadblock. So everybody wanted to do that. Because we went up there, we put 2 or 3 men out on roadblock. The other guys, I went hunting for chamois, not chamois. Yeah, chamois.
Okay.
Yeah, chamois. I had to stay. He was a friend of mine. We went up to the snow line, and the chamois would come out to eat. He got one, and I got one. But our eats on them days wasn't very good. So we took the chamois down to the company head, where the company was, and they mixed it in with their stew, and it was good. You know.
Where were you then on VE Day, when the Germans surrendered?
It was at I think it was Sens, I'm not sure, Sens, France. Anyway, we were supposed to be prepared to go to, Pacific. I think it was Sens, I'm not, SEN or something, France, when they were notified that the war was over.
And how about VJ Day?
Huh?
How about VJ Day? Where were you then?
That's what VJ Day was, that's where, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, before, when the war was over, it was up near Dusseldorf.
Okay.
And then they put us on these trains,
Okay.
and we headed for Berchtesgaden. Yeah, VGJ, when we was Sens.
Did you
Okay.
see Hitler's headquarters there?
Oh, yeah. There's an elevator going up to his headquarters, but that wasn't operating, so we had to walk. When we go up, and they had a home before you get up to the Eagle's Nest, and that had been hit by a bomb or something. That was pretty well destroyed. But up in the Eagle's Nest, I think the GI destroyed more than anything else. You know.
Well, that's very interesting.
Where were you finally discharged? And when?
Well, I discharged in Fort Dix.
Okay.
What was I discharged November 20th, 45.
Okay. Okay.
And I went in September 26, 42.
Okay. After you were discharged, did you come back to Scriba area?
Yeah. So when I went in, I was working for Huddy Standard in Pennsylvania.
Mhm.
When I was called, then I come back here and I went with
Queensbury?
uh,
Queensbury?
yeah, Queensboro.
Queensboro.
Yeah, I went to work with them.
Mhm.
I worked for them for a while, and then Ontario Milk of Mexico.
Mhm.
I went over there and worked for them for 8 years over there after that.
Mhm.
And so then you stayed in the Scriba area?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I was a dairy inspector for 30 years,
Okay.
but I got so disgusted, I quit. Went down to the college and got a job down there
Okay.
as a janitor. But then I got into being supervisor at the dorms, which wasn't too bad.
Mhm.
But in this dairy business, we had a New York State inspection, New York City inspection, New Jersey inspection, Pennsylvania inspection. And each guy would have a little different, you know, gotta keep my job, so I'll have a little different thing. So I got so disgusted, I only had about 300 dairies I was checking. But you go to a dairy today with a New York City inspector, okay, a few days, you go back with a New Jersey inspector, the farmers don't like it. So the U.S. Public Health come in, so I said, boy, we'll get rid of these inspectors, but we just got one extra one.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I had one of my best dairies up near Mansville, and he was really a dairyman, and he wanted things right, and it was a nice, beautiful dairy.
Mhm.
And he was from Minnesota, this inspector, U.S. Public Health. He goes in there, and the dairyman says, well, if there's anything that you think I can improve or anything, I said, gladly. He said, anything you want to know, he said, ask this fellow here. He said, the dairyman said, if you had been along, he said, I'd kick his ass right in the road. Yeah.
Now, you retired then from the college?
I retired from college. I was there 10 years.
Mhm.
I went when I was 55, and I worked till I was 65.
Oh, yes.
I had the supervisors of the lake dorms. I was Seneca and those two of those dorms each different times.
Mhm.
So I enjoyed it out there. There's a nice bunch of people to work for.
Mhm.
You know Weeks, Chuck Weeks, did you?
I didn't know him, no.
He was my immediate boss.
Mhm.
And what was the other guy named above him? I can't think of it. They were very nice though to work for.
That's very good.
Mhm.
Well, we certainly appreciate your coming.
Yeah, well, I can't see where I could donate too much, actually.
Well, no, it's been very good.
It's been very productive, and I've learned a lot myself.
Well,
Thank you.
well, I'm glad that, you know, anything I could do. I enjoy going over it. Like this fellow called up the other day there. You know, talking over the times he had. I never knew that I called him West Virginia.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Carl.
Well, good.
Yeah. Thanks a lot.
Well, good.
I'd like to